What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Cha-Ching, The Killing Light by Myke Cole. For those that don't know, The Killing Light is book number 3 in the Sacred Throne trilogy. This is a trilogy written by Myke Cole. It's basically 3 novellas put together. It was Myke Cole's shot at kind of proving to everybody that he could write things other than just like sci-fi military stories. So this is book number 3, and I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this review. So if you're out there worried about spoilers, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep this thing pretty vague as far as narrative, because I do know that this is the one you guys have been waiting for. I've waited quite a while to do this review because I didn't want to just beat up the book. But yeah, let's get into it. The Killing Light continues the story of Heloise, the daughter of a village factor, and also a girl who's just coming to age, right? She's very confused about her own sexuality, and in this world that is filled with oppression, she's essentially just scared to even be herself. So now we have followed the events of Armored Saint, and we have followed the events of Queen of Crows that brings us to the Killing Light, where we're following Heloise being heralded as the Palatine, and now she has an army behind her. It's essentially the People's Army, and we will watch this army push its way towards the Emperor. They have had enough of the order. The pilgrims must pay, and this is essentially the last push here. The thing is that Heloise and the People's Army are they're gearing up for a battle that they don't know anything about. Things are about to go sideways, inside out, every which way but good. So one of the first things I want to get into is actually a good thing about the book, and that's the pace. The pace is fast, and that's all of these. You know what I mean? They are novellas, or if you call them a book, they're just barely a book. So you get through them fast. Like Myke Cole trims all the fat off of these books. So they're just like bullet trains, taking you from point A to point B. And I do find that as a pro, because I think that there are struggling readers out there that need books like this because they're just having a hard time getting into fantasy. Maybe they're being bogged down by exposition, and it's books like this that will really help them get a start in fantasy. So I do think that the pace of this book is right on point. The next thing that Myke Cole did really well in this book is just the action, and I think that he did a really good job in all these books, but I do think that he does an extra good job here in The Killing Light, because it's on and cracking. And without spoiling too much, it's just, these guys are going to have a lot thrown at them, and the way that Myke Cole describes his action, it's bloody and visceral, and it's fun. If you were looking for a grimdark book, there is some of that action in here that might please that grimdark itch. The next thing I want to talk about is just the themes and stuff that Myke Cole was playing with throughout this trilogy, and especially trying to ram it home here in book 3. And that is just these, themes on religion. And certainly this trilogy, puts religious oppression right up in the reader's face, especially in the Armored Saint. But I do think that here in The Killing Light, that Myke Cole went for a little extra. And, as much as I would applaud him for the themes that he's going for here, I do think that he might have tried to bite off more than he can chew, especially while trying to cram it into such a short trilogy. I don't think that going with really deep ideas and concepts and themes is a good idea in a 200-page book. You just don't have enough time to go deep. If you are, it should be these quick, kind of profound quips, maybe, you know what I mean? But you trying to dig into something that is it's just deep as shit, man. Whenever you dig into theology, you're dealing with religious fanaticism, people's die-hard beliefs. It's some pretty deep stuff, and I don't think he gave himself a long enough time to really cultivate this stuff. I mean, like I said, this is the kind of content that I'm looking for in the book, but the way it kind of gets delivered, especially in the end, and it just fell flat to me. Next thing I want to talk about is the characters, because we'll start with Heloise, because that's who we've been following throughout this whole journey. And I have to admit, I was very caught off guard and surprised with how much I liked Heloise in The Armored Saint. But by the time we've gotten here in The Killing Light, I can't stand her anymore. I just want to shake her and be like, what the fuck, man? You're leading all these people and you're this insecure. You're this. It's easy for me to say because I'm I'm almost fucking 40 years old. So it's me trying to talk about a 16-year-old and why can't they get their shit together. I mean, obviously, right? But anyway, it just was annoying. I guess at this point, it was starting to kind of like poke its head up at me in book 2, but here in book 3, the fact that she was just kind of unwilling to grab the bull by the horns kind of thing was just, I kind of had enough with her. And so I was trying to enjoy the rest of the characters. Which brings me to the character of Tone. Now, Tone is one of the pilgrims, and we know about Tone from book 1. He's basically like the guy that you love to hate, and he's got that like enemy chemistry with Hellowise. It's one that actually I really enjoyed, and it's what's, one of those things that kept me like coming back for more. I really liked this character. I thought he was a dastardly fucking dude, and just sometimes like the way that just like he would call out Hellowise, like I could really picture this guy, this son of a bitch. And the thing about Tone was he was good, but he wasn't so good like he was overpowered. He was just a very well-balanced son of a bitch that I really enjoyed. So now that I'm annoyed with Hellowise, at least I can enjoy Tone. But no, because for some reason, Myke Cole decides to give Tone a character arc, and I just don't get it, because it's like, when are authors going to realize that you can just have a son of a bitch, be a son of a bitch, and he doesn't have to improve at all from there? He can just be a son of a bitch. That is a character that we want. So yes, once again, more frustration on the characters, even from the ones that I was expecting to enjoy. Now, the nail in the coffin as far as characters, for me was, along this story, throughout the books, we've been picking up people, along the way. And Hellowise has kind of collected 2 people that, there's this like love triangle thing going. And one of the characters in here, one of these male characters, there's a part in this book where all hell is breaking loose. And for some reason, this character feels like it's such a pristine time to like throw a fucking temper tantrum like on the battlefield because he likes, Hellowise and she doesn't like him back kind of thing. It pulled me so far out of the story that it was really hard to enjoy anything beyond this point. I was so fucking like, what is this? This is when I started to feel like, oh shit, I'm reading a YA book, which this leads me into the tone of the book. No, not Tone the character, the overall tone of this book. And this is where I think it was the biggest disappointment for me, because I started this trilogy because I thought it was like this grimdark, like fast-paced grimdark trilogy. And I have to say, after finishing the 3rd book, this thing just got progressively less grimdark as we went along. In fact, like I said, I feel like this became a YA series. In fact, really looking back, I will disagree with some of those thoughts that I put on my Queen of Crows review, because my opinion changed more about that book the further I got away with it, from it, but especially after reading the Killing Light. Like, these books just don't feel very adult. Yes, we're following a young protagonist, and honestly, guys, this is one of those books. There's a couple of them that I read. I am so fucking through with young protagonists, and I don't even understand why authors are. Let's not get into it. If I want to read some adult shit, you know what I mean? And so this book, progressively feeling like it was more and more for kids, did grate on me. I really gave props to Myke Cole during The Armored Saint, because essentially what he did was create a coming-of-age story with a young girl and made it grimdark. And I always say you can't do that, but I really feel like he did it. The problem is then from there, he turned it into like a hero's journey thing, where it just progressively became something more for like teenagers than for somebody maybe my age. So yeah, that's my major issue. Honestly, I know I've been saying all this stuff. Like, Myke Cole's decisions are what I have the most problems with. It's not his writing. You know what I mean? These books, as much as I'm beating it up right now, they're still worth a read. I would still tell people, like, I encourage you to get out there and read them. I think that they're gold for struggling readers. But yes, I do think that the tone of these books as you go along will become something that will probably grate on you if you're an adult looking for an adult tone story. You know what I mean? Like, don't expect this trilogy to stay like Armored Saint. It will progressively get lighter and just, I feel like more immature. Now, as far as my 2 cents for the slow and the struggling, yes, guys, I do think that these books are for you, especially if you're a struggling reader. I've already mentioned it several times. Myke Cole has a very, bare bones style. It will bring you from point A to point B relatively quick and without, very much work. It's very easy. You know what I mean? So these books will recommend to struggling readers. And even, just because they're not for me doesn't mean they might not be for you. These books are well written. It was just the decisions that Myke Cole made that they just didn't really sit well with me as a reader. But like I said, these books are still good. I think that the younger crowd is going to be much more into these than the older crowd. But that's once again just my opinion. I had to wait a little while to really sit on this before I just kind of came out and was like, oh, this thing is a piece of shit. Because it's not a piece of shit. It's just not the book that I wanted to read. All right, guys. As always, thanks for spending some time down here at the channel. And to Myke Cole, hey, man, they can't all be first-round draft picks. And literally, I'm just a fucking dude sitting in the corner of my house talking into a fucking camera. So don't put too much on it. And for those out there, like I said, I encourage you, if you're struggling with fantasy, these books are definitely a good idea to pick up. Don't take everything that I say, as law. You know what I mean? I'm a big old dummy. Just know that. All right? All right. Now, if you're new, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel, guys. You know what time it is. Peace.